Wow. I mean, just wow. First of all, after having to deal with the immense clusterfuck known as Microsoft's little fuck up, I decided to just check out the rest. And pretty much Sony has put itself, I think, in the number 3 or number 4 spot. I will admit that their PlayStation Plus and their PlayStation Move, in my honest opinion, is a complete failure. And I hate them. I admit it. And they are just, I mean, one's a rip off the Nintendo Wii and the other's just a rip off of Xbox Live. Whoop de fucking do. And then the major surprise on Sony, which made it pretty decent and a lot more better, was most of the rest of their conference was just dealing with games. Wow. They didn't make the entire thing about the move. Like, Microsoft did with Mattel, making pretty much the rest of their show just utterly bad. So yeah, Microsoft clusterfucked themselves. Extremely bad. But this isn't about that. But one of the real shockers about Sony was the fact that Gabe Newell has decided to show his new Portal 2 game, or premiere the trailer to Portal 2 on the PlayStation 3 platform. And if you remember, Gabe said a lot of things about PlayStation 3. And in fact, when he introduced Portal 2 at E3, he said he was a little bit worried about. He made some jokes about the people at Sony, and one of the guys wanted to show him the VP of sharpening things. Yeah, I kind of laughed at that one too, but that was a shocker. Seriously, because Portal 2 was not supposed to go on PlayStation 3, and yet here it is. But let's talk about the guys who won who just stole everything and vanquished both Sony, Microsoft. Well, Microsoft was easy to freaking sweep out on this one, and just ran off with the show and just did a spectacular job, even though their opening was crap. And that would be Nintendo. And what did Nintendo do? Just surprises the shit out of everybody. Well, first of all, the GoldenEye was somewhat of a shock, and no, I didn't care for GoldenEye, but that was a shock. And yeah, another freaking Zelda game, like I need that. It's just it's just the last Zelda game, just rehashed again with a little extra guards and crap on that. And the GoldenEye's graphics weren't that great, but it does signify that the whole copyright disaster that was following on the whole GoldenEye incident seemed to have been resolved, and it pretty much looks like Microsoft lost the fucking case. So yeah, Microsoft ain't getting GoldenEye. That's another lose for them. It's pretty much the Nintendo Wii, so and another good Donkey Kong Country. Actually, I can admit that I never really cared about Donkey Kong Country, but that's nice to see that there, I guess. And a whole bunch of other stuff. But then they ended up showing something new called the Nintendo 3DS, which basically knocked my fucking socks off. Now, I don't know anything about the 3D screen and the fact that it's supposed to give you 3D images like in a whole 3D movie without 3D glasses. But the fact that they said that it can play full motion videos on there, which is a shocker in itself. Three cameras, one up front and then two in the back, and then two on the back cover, which is supposed to help with 3D images because it says it can take 3D pictures. Yeah, that's me bumping my mic. But anyways, what really took the show was a claim that I don't know if it's true or not, but I've read that that it does work, is the ability to see 3D images without wearing the 3D glasses. That's if it is true. Nintendo just wiped the floors with everybody. Hell, they pretty much just ran over everybody because that's innovative, and it also has full, well, even better 3D graphics in itself. Besides the viewing of 3D images without 3D glasses. Yeah. And of course, it's got this weird little PlayStation PSP like analog stick on the side, which I really don't give a shit about, which I think is going to be a failure in that area, but whatever. And it's got pretty much all the same buttons. It plays DSi games, but one thing, it's got a screen about the same size as the iPod Touch, or the top screen, and then the touch screen is at the bottom, which is just the standard screen. But what's interesting is that besides having a touchscreen at the bottom and full 3D without 3D glasses kind of imaging, is the simple fact that it has a gyroscope much like the Apple iPod Touch and iPhone and iPad, which basically means it can sense you moving it around. You move it left to right, it will sense it forward, backwards, up and down. It will sense it, just like the iPhone and the iPod and the iPod Touch and iPad. So yeah, um, Nintendo updid everybody, and I guess for extra measures, they decided to go over to Apple and updo them as well. Seriously, if the 3DS does turn out the way I think it will be, it would pretty much hurt the iPod Touch's market badly because wow, wow. And I'm not even done with all the features of the 3DS. I mean, it'll have internet capabilities, of course, which is also interesting because it also goes in with some rumors I've been hearing that about some update maybe going to the Wii that will allow you to add downloadable content into games. But they're going to allow downloadable content into their 3DS, into the games of the 3DS. So if you get a game on your 3DS, you could get some downloadable content for it, depending on the providers, I guess, if it's going to be free or pay. That's impressive. Yeah, a small handheld device has pretty much showed up everybody. And the second place winner was EA because EA decided to do something like, I don't know, show fucking games. And dead last is fucking Microsoft. Thanks, Microsoft. I didn't think you could fuck up that bad, but you managed to fucking do it. Big time.